My best friend stole my startup idea and became a millionaire. Now he's begging for my help. I met Daniel in college. Two broke computer science majors, both obsessed with clean code, caffeine, and changing the world. We bonded instantly. Late-night coding sessions, pizza boxes scattered across dorm floors, pitching each other wild ideas that would definitely make us rich. Out of the dozen half-baked concepts we came up with, one stuck. An app, let's call it Glance, that used AI to summarize professional documents in seconds. Contracts, reports, legal texts, all condensed into plain English. We envisioned it as Grammarly meets ChatGPT for business. This was before AI tools exploded. We were ahead of the wave. I built the back-end prototype myself in our junior year. Daniel helped with the design, but I handled 90% of the architecture. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. I even pitched it to a few professors. One of them, a former VC advisor, said, "If you polish this, you've got something huge." Daniel and I made a pact. We'd go all in after graduation. We'd incorporate, get funding, and build Glance together. Equal partners. Except we didn't. A few months after graduation, I got a job offer in Seattle I couldn't refuse. My mom had just been diagnosed with MS, and I needed a stable paycheck. Startup dreams could wait. I told Daniel I'd circle back once I was settled. He said he understood. He lied. 6 months later, I saw TechCrunch trending on my feed. Startup Glance raises $12 million to revolutionize legal document summarization. I froze. There was Daniel, smiling for the cameras. In the pitch deck, screenshots of my back-end interface, the same naming conventions, the same API structure, even the identical loading animation I spent hours coding. He didn't just steal the idea, he stole my code. I tried calling. No answer. I emailed. Nothing. Eventually, I reached his co-founder, some Stanford MBA kid, who said, "Daniel told us he built the prototype himself. If you're claiming otherwise, you'll need to talk to our legal team." Legal team? My best friend sicked lawyers on me for calling out theft. I didn't sue. I couldn't afford it. I had rent, bills, my mom's medication. I was working 60-hour weeks writing middleware for a logistics company. Who had time to fight? So I let it go, or tried to. But every time I saw Glance featured in another Forbes article or heard someone at work say, "Have you tried Glance? It's amazing," I felt sick. Not out of jealousy, out of betrayal. That was my baby, and Daniel acted like I never existed. 2 years passed. I got promoted, moved my mom to better care, buried myself in work. Occasionally I'd see Daniel on LinkedIn, speaking at conferences, dressed in overpriced suits, talking about his vision. Then, last month I got a text. Daniel unknown. "Hey, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I really need to talk. Please." I ignored it. Then came the email. Subject: "It's about Glance. Evan, I messed up. I need your help. Things aren't what they look like. Can we meet? I'll come wherever you are. Just one conversation. You owe me that much." You owe me? The audacity nearly made me laugh, but something about the desperation in his wording stuck with me. This wasn't the Daniel I remembered, or the smug CEO I saw online. So, I replied, "You've got 20 minutes, one coffee, my turf. Don't bring your lawyers." He agreed. We met at a quiet place in Capitol Hill. I picked the table furthest from the crowd. He looked older, not in a bad way, just tired. Dark circles under his eyes, nervous energy. Not the confident prick I imagined. "Thanks for coming," he said. I didn't respond. He fidgeted. "So, Glance, it's falling apart." That got my attention. He went on. "Our last funding round was a mess. Investors are pulling out. The Stanford guy, he's suing me. Claims I misrepresented the tech. And I kind of did." I raised an eyebrow. "I didn't rewrite your code," he admitted. "I just layered on top of it. Hoped no one would notice. But scaling broke it. Our entire architecture's buckling, and I don't know how to fix it." He leaned in, voice low. "I need you." I sat there in silence for a moment, letting his words sink in. My coffee was going cold, untouched. Daniel, the same guy who had ghosted me, stolen my work, and built a multi-million-dollar company on it, was now crumbling. And here he was, across from me, practically begging. "You built an entire company on top of a prototype I hacked together in a dorm room," I said. My voice calm, but razor sharp. "You didn't even bother to refactor it?" Daniel looked ashamed. "I meant to, but things moved fast. Too fast. Investors, press, deadlines. I thought I'd fix it later, but it just kept growing." "So you rode the wave," I said. But now you're drowning. He nodded, then said something I never expected. I'll give you equity, backdated. I'll sign whatever you want. I just need the system stabilized before our biggest client walks. That stung. Not because he was offering equity now it was too little, too late. But because it was obvious. He didn't come to apologize. He came to use me. Again, I leaned back. You don't need me. You need a miracle. And you thought I'd be stupid enough to hand you another one. He winced. That's not fair. I know I messed up. I should have brought you in from the beginning. I panicked, Evan. When you left, I thought the dream was dead. I didn't want to let it go. So you stole it. I used what we built together. I stared him down. No, you abandoned what we built. Then you used what I built, slapped your name on it, and called it a vision. He had no comeback for that. Just silence. The cafe around us buzzed with the usual Seattle rhythm, laptops clicking, steam hissing, baristas shouting names. It felt surreal having this confrontation in a place so ordinary. So what do you want from me? I asked finally. Be honest. I want you to come back. SXTO. I laughed. Actually laughed. Daniel, your investors would laugh you out of the room if you brought me in now. After years of denying I had anything to do with Glance, they already know, he said, eyes on the table. What? I told them. Last week. That I didn't build it alone. That the foundation was yours. They're pissed, but they're still in. Barely. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He outed himself to his board? Risked the entire company? Why? I asked. Because it's collapsing, Evan. And I thought maybe if I was honest for once, it'd give us a chance to fix it together. I didn't trust him. Not entirely. But this wasn't the same Daniel who wore polished shoes and gave TEDx talks. This was the version I remembered. Nervous, desperate, but human. Later that night, I stared at the ceiling in my apartment, unable to sleep. I kept replaying our conversation, over and over. I still hated him, but I hated even more how part of me wanted to help. Not for him, for Glance. For the idea we dreamed up when we were kids with nothing but time and ambition. I remembered what Professor Klein once told me. Revenge is easy. Creation is harder, but it lasts longer. The next morning, I sent Daniel a short reply. You get one shot. We do this on my terms. I want 35% equity. In writing. Full CTO authority. No media lies. And you publicly credit the original tech to both of us. Non-negotiable. His reply came in under 2 minutes. Deal. 2 days later, I was sitting in a glass-walled conference room in San Francisco, facing down a table full of Glance's shell-shocked executives and lawyers. Daniel made good on his promise. He told them everything. The real origin story. My role. The theft. It was like watching a slow-motion car crash. Some of them were angry. One guy said, "This could tank us with PR." Another threatened to resign, but I didn't care. After the meeting, I was given an access badge, an account, and a tour of the office. It was surreal walking through rows of engineers working on my framework, modified beyond recognition, and broken in ways I instantly recognized. Daniel caught up to me near the server room. So, what's your first move? I looked at him, this man who had betrayed me, then brought me back into the fire. My first move, I said. Burn the whole stack down. He blinked. What? It's beyond patching. You Frankensteined it to death. We need a full rebuild. Clean, scalable, modular. No shortcuts this time. He nodded slowly. You really think we can save it? I turned away. Not we. You just stay out of my way. The first thing I did after getting full repo access was open the backend and nearly choke on my coffee. The codebase was a graveyard of half-finished modules, deprecated libraries, and duct tape fixes. It looked like someone had built a skyscraper on a foundation of Play-Doh. Flashy on the outside, collapse-ready underneath. Scrolling through one legacy file after another, I started seeing my own fingerprints. Not in the commit history Daniel had scrubbed that, but in the stray comments desperate engineers had left behind. One line practically jumped off the screen at me. Evan's old parser didn't touch this or it breaks everything. A few files later I found another gem. No clue what this function does, but it works. So leaving it, thanks, Evan. Each quote was a gut punch. They weren't just words. They were proof Daniel had always known whose work he was standing on. I locked myself in the server room for 72 hours, surviving on Red Bull and Spite. I mapped the architecture, spun up a clean dev environment, and wrote a brutally honest audit. What to refactor, what to rebuild, and what to set on fire. Daniel poked his head in once. You should pace yourself, he offered, voice small. I didn't bother looking up. You should have hired someone competent 5 years ago. He disappeared after that. By week 2, I'd handpicked a strike team. 3 engineers who didn't flinch when I told them half the stack had to die. Priya, a sharp junior dev, challenged me on every decision. "You really want to rip out the whole real-time messaging layer?" she asked, frowning at my diagram. "Product is going to riot." "Good," I said. "They deserve some healthy fear. Couldn't we just refactor it?" I highlighted a line of code on her monitor. Socket.on crash. Some genius literally wired the app to listen for its own crash events. "We torch it." She stared, then nodded. "Fair." Not everyone took it so well. One of Daniel's loyalists, Adam, tried rallying the old guard. I walked into a sink to find him pitching a minimal disruption patch plan on the whiteboard. After he finished, I erased every line with a single swipe. "This isn't democracy," I said. "It's triage. Stop the bleeding or get out of the ER." Adam quit 2 days later. I didn't miss him. 4 weeks in, our brand new backend was live in a closed beta. Faster, stable, ready to scale. Investors exhaled for the first time in months. Daniel stayed invisible, skulking around like a man afraid of his own reflection. Then the other shoe dropped. During a routine log sweep, I noticed a silent background process masquerading as analytics. Curious, I traced the traffic. Encrypted packets leaving our servers every 6 hours, bound for an external IP. Somebody inside Glance had been siphoning user data, millions of records for 18 months. My pulse hammered as I dug through commit history. The module's author tag had been scrubbed, but the deployment notes weren't. One name kept popping up over and over. Daniel. I leaned back in my chair, the glow of the monitors painting the room an icy blue, and realized the betrayal I thought I'd already processed was just the prelude. The real storm was only starting. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my apartment, lights off, watching the rain slam against the windows, letting the screen of my laptop burn into my retinas. Every hour or so, I'd find something worse. A file path that didn't make sense, a log entry with an empty user ID, a comment tagged as urgent fix that was actually a subtle reroute. Daniel had built a maze inside Glance, a hidden channel that skimmed and sold user behavior metrics to some third-party analytics firm in Delaware. But here's the kicker. That firm didn't exist. Its domain had been purchased anonymously through a Russian registrar, and the DNS was routed through 7 countries. Whoever was behind it had scrubbed every trace of themselves, except Daniel. He wasn't good at covering his tracks. Just lucky no one looked. Until now. The next morning, I walked into the office like I owned the building. I didn't, of course, but power. That I had. I called an emergency exec meeting. No agenda, no pleasantries. Just, "You all need to see this." Daniel showed up 10 minutes late, sipping from a Glance-branded tumbler like nothing was wrong. I didn't say anything at first. I just projected the access logs onto the screen and let the silence sink its claws into the room. Then I spoke. Calm. Clear. This is corporate espionage, at best. At worst, it's federal crime. Everyone froze. Someone's been transmitting user data out of our servers to an untraceable shell firm for over a year. The module was disguised as telemetry, hidden deliberately. Daniel's smile faltered. And the person responsible? I let the final slide load Daniel's name in 5 separate commit logs. Is the same man who fired me to take credit for my work. No one said a word. Not even Daniel. That afternoon, HR tried damage control. Legal circled like vultures, carefully worded memos and NDAs at the ready. But the truth doesn't wait for a press release. 2 engineers resigned on the spot. A third threatened to go to TechCrunch. I didn't stop them. Instead, I walked into Daniel's office and closed the door behind me. For once, he didn't have that smug, passive-aggressive smirk. He just looked tired. "You were never supposed to find it," he said finally. I didn't blink. "You stole my work, sold user data, lied to everyone who trusted you. Why?" He leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling, as if the truth might be up there. "You think this place survives on good intentions?" he asked. "The product is garbage. Investors were pulling out. I did what I had to do. You sold people's lives. No, I sold behavioral patterns. It's not the same. That's the most Silicon Valley thing I've ever heard." He scoffed. "You think you're the hero here, Evan? You're not. You're just the guy who came back too late." I left without another word. Later that week, I submitted a full report to the board and handed over every shred of evidence. I expected them to bury it, maybe even fire me again. But the CEO, Amanda Cho, shocked me. "You'll testify if this goes to court?" she asked over Zoom. I nodded. Gladly. "Then we're pressing charges." Daniel was arrested a week later. The story hit TechCrunch, Wired, then CNN. Investors dumped Glance like a bad habit, but Amanda played it smart. She spun it as a company cleansing itself from the inside, and the rebuild it led became the centerpiece of that narrative. And me? I didn't get a parade, or a corner office, but they offered me CTO. I said no. Instead, I took a buyout and left town with a new laptop, a name no one knew, and an inbox full of job offers I didn't answer. You know what the worst part is? I don't feel better. Justice didn't give me closure. Watching Daniel in handcuffs didn't feel like a win. It just felt like another transaction in a system designed to burn people out and throw their ashes at the next IPO. But I do feel free. And that's something. Update 3 months later, I got an email last night. Subject line: "No hard feelings, no name, just a blank signature and an IP from a coffee shop in Portland." I deleted it. Some ghosts deserve to stay dead. If you like this video, please subscribe for more.